In the spring of 1920, a silver trophy sat locked inside a velvet-lined case in a private club in New York City. It wasn't large. It wasn't ornate, but men were willing to lose fortunes, reputations, and sometimes their lives to claim it. They called it the Philip D. Cup. Today, its name has faded from history. The year was 1920. World War I had ended, but America was still restless. Factories were booming. Prohibition had begun. Organized crime was quietly taking root. And young men hardened by war were desperate for something to fight for. Sports filled that void: boxing, bare-knuckle bouts, underground football leagues, anything violent, anything competitive, anything that felt real. It was in this environment that Philip Davenport emerged. A railroad magnate, a gambler, a man who believed modern sports had grown soft. Philip Davenport wanted something brutal, something pure. Philip Davenport was 52 years old, wealthy beyond reason, and dying. Doctors believed his heart would fail within the year. According to letters found decades later, Davenport feared one thing above all else: being forgotten. So he created a competition, one that would force men to test their limits not for applause, but survival. The prize? A solid silver cup, $50,000 in cash, and lifetime membership in Davenport's private financial syndicate. The cost to enter? No contract, no safety rules, and no backing out. The Philip D. Cup was announced quietly, no newspapers, no public posters. Invitations were delivered by hand to 8 teams across the country. Each team consisted of 6 men. The sport itself was new, a hybrid of rugby, early football, and street fighting. The rules were simple: no weapons, no substitutions, matches played until surrender or incapacity, medical intervention only after the final whistle. The final clause chilled everyone who read it. Participants accept all consequences, including death. 3 teams declined. 5 accepted. The competitors were not celebrities. They were dock workers, former soldiers, coal miners, factory enforcers. Among them was Thomas "Red" Mallory, a former infantry sergeant who hadn't slept through a night since the war. Another was Isaac Bell, a 22-year-old prodigy from Chicago, barely out of high school, recruited for his speed and fearlessness. And then there was the Iron Line, a Boston-based team known for playing dirty even by underground standards. These men didn't see themselves as athletes. They saw this as a reckoning. The tournament was held on a private estate in upstate New York. No crowd, only referees, doctors, and Davenport himself watching from a balcony. The first match lasted 47 minutes. 2 men were knocked unconscious. One suffered a compound fracture, another collapsed from internal bleeding. When the final whistle blew, Davenport stood and applauded slowly. This was exactly what he wanted. By the third match, rumors began spreading. Local hospitals noticed an unusual number of severe injuries, all tied to men who refused to explain where they'd been. Bribes were paid. Records disappeared. One referee quit mid-tournament, later telling friends, "That wasn't sport. That was controlled violence." But the matches continued. Because the money was real, and because no one wanted to be the one who walked away. The final match was between the Iron Line and the Hudson Six, led by Red Mallory. It lasted over 1 hour. Witnesses later described it as unwatchable. Broken ribs, dislocated shoulders, men crawling instead of standing. When Isaac Bell collapsed and did not rise, the whistle finally sounded. The Hudson Six won. Bell died 2 days later from a brain hemorrhage. His death was never reported publicly. Philip Davenport died 3 weeks after the final. The cup vanished. Some believe it was melted down. Others say it sits in a private collection, untouched. No second tournament was ever held. The men who survived rarely spoke of it. When asked years later, Red Mallory said only this: winning didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving something we shouldn't have. History remembers champions, but it often forgets the cost. The Philip D. Cup was erased not because it failed, but because it succeeded too well. And sometimes, the most dangerous games are the ones no one is meant to watch.